I have no idea how to start this video. I literally, this video has been like in the works for like months now, and like it's finally here, and there you go. I don't know how to start it. That's brilliant planning for me. But I hope you enjoy this. This is a special video. Yeah, this is definitely a special video. It's taken me a while, but it's finally done. So let's go. I think this might be one of my favourite games of all time, and I'm serious. I don't think I've had such an immersive narrative experience like this since like the Zelda series. Like, wow, I just want to play more JRPGs. FF7 is just over 20 years old and still a great experience for anyone of any age. And now I just want to play from the rest from 1 to 15. It's so good. Hell, throw in Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest. You can tell I love this series so much because I actually got a hoodie pretty much because of it. Now, I don't know why, but the games from the late 90s have a magical feeling towards them, and looking back, yeah, it was a good time, I'm assuming. Nintendo were killing it with the quality of games like Zelda Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64, which is seen as the best game of all time, and still is. If you ask some people, yeah, I guess. Same with the PlayStation, as they were the quote-unquote new cool kids on the block, as well as the FF7 release, as well being stated as the best of all time, along with other revolutionary titles like the Crash Bandicoot series and Metal Gear Solid. JRPG titles like this were also the stepping stones into the influence of the anime genre to Western audiences, being around the time where iconic shows like Dragon Ball Z, Gundam, Cowboy Bebop, Yu Yu Hakusho, and Pokemon kicked off their major popularity. Games like Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger did help out a lot to introduce this medium to a whole new generation of games to come, and although Chrono Trigger, in the eyes of gamers, may be seen as the superior title, the FF series was the one that made the lasting impact on the gaming industry as a whole. A JRPG developed by SquareEnix, or at the time Squaresoft before the whole company merger, and released in 1997 and exclusive to the PlayStation 1. I wasn't even born. Final Fantasy VII was initially going to be on the Nintendo 64, and it made sense since previous versions like FF6 were on the SNES. Yet leaving one company to a rival sure did create a lot of controversy. And this was mainly due to the large amount of storage, since Square couldn't fit all that data into a single Nintendo cartridge. In replacement, heading over to Sony, we were given 3 separate game discs, and I actually really like this, maybe because this is my first ever time witnessing a game with multiple discs like this, but again, the multiple discs was mainly due to the cinematic cutscenes, and it still is shocking to this day how all of this fits into a 1 MB memory card. Like, not even a photo on your phone could fit onto it. Just let that sink in. And man, I wish I was born 10 years earlier to see this build up of the game. And you'll have to remember, this is before the internet and social media. You're very limited on gameplay and story information. Gaming magazines were your only option at the time. Just thinking about it now, how the fact that nowadays we get constant updates on games, we get pictures, trailers, interviews, everything. Back then it was pretty much walking into a dark tunnel. You couldn't really tell if a game was going to be good or bad besides word of mouth or actually buying the game and trying it out for yourself. Final Fantasy VII was the biggest game at the time, and the fact that it met, if not surpassed, expectations, which I'll let you decide on, it truly accomplished something remarkable which very few games in history have achieved. But I did feel like I got the same hype similarly towards the build up of the Final Fantasy 15 release, which was phenomenal as well, but that one's for another day. And I've got to thank a YouTube channel called Happy Console Gamer for kind of pushing me into the whole JRPG genre. Just like any other title in the series, each Final Fantasy fits into its own continuity, so don't get confused if you go into, let's say, Final Fantasy 10 yet you haven't played 7, 8 or 9. Everything is its own story. Now, my own personal experiences playing turn-based JRPGs have been quite limited. First recount was the Pokemon GameCube titles being Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness, and overall, I did mildly enjoy them, probably because I was crazy into Pokemon at the time. I found that turn-based combat really repetitive and boring, and every time I would see a turn-based style video game or any Japanese role-playing game, I'd immediately dismiss it. And yes, looking back, that was me kind of being an idiot because I didn't know the wide library of games I'd be missing out on. JRPGs like Ys, Chrono Trigger, Shin Megami Tensei, Dragon Quest, and of course Final Fantasy. As well as my experience with Square has been quite shallow. The only titles I've partly played through were the Kingdom Hearts titles for the PlayStation 2. But other than that, that's pretty much it. And it was Final Fantasy VII that changed my perspective on this genre, that turn-based JRPGs could portray brilliant and heavily in-depth narratives, well-constructed fictional worlds, well-developed and relatable characters, along with a strategic and tactical battle system. And again, just remember, this is a video coming from the perspective of a teenager who was born on the brink of the 2000s. But I think I've rambled on with this introduction, so let's finally dive into this classic, which is Final Fantasy VII. It's still a goddamn good opening. Welcome everyone to the planet of Gaia. A very powerful cinematic opening kicks off with a camera trucking around these stars and panning towards the land of Midgar, the first major location in the game, as well as possibly rivaling other iconic locations in gaming history such as the Mushroom Kingdom, Hyrule, or even Shadow Moses. The setting of Gaia itself goes against fantasy genre conventions like castles and switches it up with a fresh modern cyberpunk city. It was the first game I encountered in the, I guess, early days of YouTube videos, and it really caught my eye. I guess it shot its way up on my bucket list back then, and just thinking about it now, to myself, a cyberpunk city with giant buildings, sword wielding rebels, giant snakes, fantasy-esque beasts, magic, space shuttles, and motorbikes. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. The opening of the game hooks you almost immediately as you go back and forth from a train to a mysterious girl walking through one of the Midgar city sectors. The camera pans back out with the memorable title screen hitting with the bombing mission soundtrack playing in full force. And bloody hell, it's a bloody good theme. The train pulling up to one of the city sectors with an eco-terrorist group known as Avalanche planning to blow up a reactor. It's one of the best opening sequences in video game history. Not the best, actually screw it, it's probably the best. Really, it gets the adrenaline going. Now, the Shinra Electrical Company pretty much controlled the city of Midgar. They're your typical corporate dickheads. The world government from One Piece, the Empire from Star Wars, Shinra, they're pretty much all the same. Now, Midgar is powered by Mako energy, a natural resource of the world, but these lot not knowing they're pretty much killing the planet, which eventually is a massive plot point in our hero's adventure. Now, we actually take part in this controversial terrorist attack. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Cloud Strife, a giant sword-wielding, blonde spiked-headed ex-Shinra soldier, a cool-looking dude with a mildly self-centered attitude and a heavily mysterious and shrouded past, our main protagonist of the game. We then meet the rest of the Avalanche members, being Wedge, Jesse, and Biggs, which, to be honest, don't play a big role in this game. But another main character gets introduced, which is Barrett, a huge brute with a gun for an arm, and he's pretty much angry all the time. You can clearly tell the designers took inspiration from Mr. T, of course. Another major character we meet after this mission is Tifa Lockhart, badass yet lovable and caring girl who's been friends with Cloud since childhood. And eventually this lovable family of misfits grows more, and the further you explore and traverse your way through the story. The Midgar section of the game roughly takes up a quarter of the story, and personally one of my favourite areas in the game as a whole, and in video games in general. This is probably due to the beautifully crafted, illustrated, pre-rendered backgrounds. The environment designs are so bloody good, and the score enhances the hell out of it. The bombing mission, Tifa's theme, Aerith's theme, the Marco reactor theme, just listen to it. And that's only one major location within this game. Once you travel past the Midgar slums, reactors and main tower, that linear style of gameplay goes out the door and you're introduced to the world map. A large free roaming world where you travel to each character's hometowns, farms, mountains, ancient ruins, and my personal favourite place, the Golden Saucer theme park. The sense of fun and adventure is truly there. Now, as you travel across the land of Gaia, you will hit random encounters with enemies. The turn-based battle system itself is done brilliantly. You choose 3 members of your party to fight with each character given a time meter. Once that meter fills up, you're allowed to place an action, that being attack, heal, or use an item. The time meter is a perfect way to always keep your attention, although most of the time you're pretty much shouting at the screen for the damn thing to hurry up. Another thing that's been implemented in FF7 are limit breaks. Unlike previous games, if a character on your side of the field has taken a certain amount of damage, that causes your limit break meter to fill up, and once it's filled up, my god, you can wreck the place with a badass attack and awesome animation. Items such as materia, which are pretty much crystallized forms of Mako energy, which give you the power of elemental attacks, ranging from fire, earth, lightning, and so on. You can mix and match material with characters, items, and weapons to suit your favorite style of combat. For me personally, I abuse the hell out of it. Now, let's talk about the villain then. When I think of greatest villains of all time, two names come to my mind: Darth Vader and the Joker. Sephiroth has now joined that list. His story, his demeanor, his character design, his flipping long ass katana, and mainly his relationship with the main characters. It's all done so well. He's no pushover at all. Every time he appears on screen, you know you're gonna get chills holding that controller pad. Shit's going down whenever he arrives. And must again I mention the music. Final Fantasy VII has one of those stories where you legit fall in love with all the characters. Every character creates an emotional attachment towards the player. You will shed a tear during your playthrough. I guarantee that. Everyone in our band of heroes has gone through multiple trials and tribulations to get where they are, and in doing so making them much stronger together. Examples of this are deaths of close friends and loved ones, inflicted pasts, and aspirations and dreams being crushed. Major characters die in this game. And I don't want to fully spoil everything, as a game like this, even though 2 decades old, still deserves to be played freely and gain full immersion from. Deaths in this game show consequence in the story, developing the characters even more and further tightening that bond between the player and the heroes themselves. This game's got everything: constant humor and banter between characters, a dark tone, a great memorable villain which you can sympathize with, elements of horror and gore, the sense of discovery and adventure with a love story that works very well. Final Fantasy VII is a masterpiece and a classic, and fair enough, the character designs are severely outdated. It doesn't take anything away from the experience that you get. I think I've come to the conclusion that this is my #1 favourite game of all time. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, that's Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation 1, a true classic, and I encourage anyone, if you have a PS1 and a PS4, please get it straight away. It's on the PlayStation Store, go buy it. Or if you are a little bit more patient, pick up the remastered version, which is coming out whenever, soon, later, maybe next year or the year after. This is a true classic game, and it's finally done. I finally reviewed Final Fantasy VII. It's taken a while, but again, I'm 99% happy with this video, and I hope you lot really enjoyed this. It's history in the making, really, for my channel. This is something that I've been planning to do for a long time, and it's finally done, so I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of this video and myself. And again, it's a classic game. Really, it was very influential, and it encouraged my it encouraged me playing more games. Really, more games of this genre. And look, if you see behind me, I have a ton of other Final Fantasy games in the series, which I haven't even touched it because I want to review this one first. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then, I don't know what to review next, really. As you can see slightly on my left, we have a Keyblade here, so you kind of know what I'm really hinting at. But other than that, I hope you lot enjoyed this review. That's Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation 1. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you think on this video. And with that said, I'm signing out. Please like, share, subscribe. Stay humble, everyone, and see you guys next time. Peace.